All right, let's jump right in. We're going to look at the Qur'an today, but maybe in a way you've never thought about it before. What if it's not just a book you read? What if it's actually functional source code, a program designed to help you navigate and ultimately exit a kind of simulated reality? Let's explore that.
So before we can even talk about a solution, we have to get a handle on the problem, right? The source material frames our reality as this incredibly complex system, almost like a simulation with its own set of rules and, yeah, its own objectives. So let's start with a pretty big question. What if this world, everything you see, everything you touch, everything you want, is actually a beautifully decorated, super persuasive illusion? Kind of like the Matrix, designed from the ground up to grab your attention and convince you that this illusion is the only truth there is. And this illusion, this system, it actually has a name in the source material: taghut. Now, the best way to think of it is as the operating system of the simulation. It's any power, any story, any desire that tries to take the place of the one true source, making the illusion feel completely and totally real.
Okay, but if we're stuck inside a simulation, there's got to be a way out, right? And this is exactly where the Qur'an comes in. Not just as scripture in the way we usually think of it, but as a user manual, a counter program.
And you can see the contrast so clearly here. The simulation, taghut, it gives you this world full of shiny illusions, and it tells you that your own desires are the ultimate authority. Basically, they become your gods. The Qur'an, as the source code, does the complete opposite. It's a guide to get out of the illusion, and it returns all power, all sovereignty, back to where it belongs, the true source. So, how does this source code actually work? I mean, it's not just about reading words on a page. It's about executing specific functions, specific protocols that are designed to help you decode the reality all around you. The whole process breaks down into 3 stages. First, the code runs like a diagnostic tool. It literally exposes the architecture of the simulation. It shows you how it's all built on false knowledge and desires that have been manufactured for you. Second, it doesn't just point out the problem, it actually installs the decryption keys you need to see through it all. And finally, it gives you case studies, powerful examples of successful system breaches from the past.
Now, the main decryption key, the master password, if you will, is a concept called tawhid. This is absolutely central. It's the principle of divine oneness. It's the active process of returning all power and all reality to the one source, to Allah. And in doing that, it completely resets the corrupted thought patterns that keep you trapped in the simulation. Then you have the ayah. These are the signs. And you can really think of them as intentional glitches in the matrix. They're these moments or patterns or insights you see in the world that just interrupt the smooth flow of the illusion. They're like little breadcrumbs pointing to a much deeper reality, but only if you stop and actually reflect on them. And the third tool is dhikr. This is your memory reset. It's the tool of remembrance, a protocol that's specifically designed to clear out all those corrupted mental files and reconnect your awareness back to its original, pure, pre-simulation state. All right, so that's the theory. But this isn't just some abstract idea. The source material is packed with practical case studies. Think of them like historical records of successful jailbreaks from the simulation. If you look here, you'll see that each prophet was up against a really specific version of the simulation, a different flavor of taghut. So, you have Nuh, or Noah. He was facing this total consensus reality, where literally everyone was trapped in the same illusion. His jailbreak? He built a new reality, the Ark, completely outside their system. Then you have Ibrahim, or Abraham. He was dealing with the worship of idols, of physical forms. His method was super direct. He just smashed the false forms to pieces to show everyone the true anchor behind them. And then Musa, Moses. He confronted the taghut of absolute power, Pharaoh himself. And he did it by confronting that system with divine revelation. But maybe the most elegant, the most sophisticated example of a system breach is the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis. It's presented here as this really advanced dual protocol jailbreak. So Solomon's half of the protocol is all about knowledge. He has her throne brought to him in the blink of an eye, and then he changes it just a little bit. And you have to ask why. Well, it was a test to see if she could perceive the truth of the throne beyond just what it looked like on the surface. His function here is decoding, using a higher level of knowledge to pierce right through the simulation's veil. Now, Bilqis's test is a bit different. She's brought into this palace with a floor made of polished crystal, but it looks exactly like a pool of water.
She makes a mistake, she thinks it's real, but when she realizes it's an illusion, she doesn't get defensive, she submits. Her function is realignment. She uses her faith to orient herself to the truth and decides right then and there to stop worshiping appearances. And this just ties it all together so brilliantly. You need both. You need Solomon's knowledge to perceive reality correctly, and you need Bilqis's faith to orient yourself correctly toward that reality. That combination, that's how you achieve a full exit from taghut. So we've seen how these individual protocols and case studies work. But here's the thing. They aren't just standalone programs. They're all part of a much bigger unified system. So let's zoom out and take a look at the structure of the Qur'an as a complete operating system. So according to the source, different chapters of the Qur'an actually work like software modules. Al-Fatiha, the very first chapter, is the bootloader for your heart. Al-Baqarah is like the main installation file for the new reality, and it sets all your user permissions. Yasin is the prophetic interface, connecting you to the code of the messengers. Al-Mulk acts like a sovereignty monitor, constantly running in the background to check for system integrity. And Al-Ikhlas, that's the core kernel, the pure, unshakable code of Tawheed itself. Now, this system isn't just an idea. It has physical anchors that are meant to ground you in the real reality. Take the Kaaba in Mecca. It acts as this central orientation point, a true north that exists outside the simulation's distractions. And the ritual of tawaf, circling the Kaaba, that's like a physical loop you run to constantly recalibrate and restore your alignment to that true north, pulling you out of the simulation's constant drift. Okay, so here's where it gets really important. This isn't just passive information. The whole point of source code is for it to be executed. And so the focus now shifts from the program itself to the user, to you. This is the crucial takeaway. You are not just an observer watching this program run on some screen. You are the equation. Your thoughts, your choices, your perception, your submission, that is the process of solving the equation, and you're doing it in real time. So how do you actually execute the code? Through these really practical exit routines. The Shahada, your testimony, that's your login. It's you declaring allegiance to the true source. Prayer, that's your direct 5 times a day connection to the main server. Zakah purifies your resources from the simulation's corruption. Fasting recalibrates your dependencies away from the system. And Hajj is the ultimate reboot, a full return to the central anchor. These aren't just rituals, they are the core functions for debugging your own operating system.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this incredibly simple but powerful 3-step engine. Step 1, use the tools to see the illusion for what it is. Step 2, make it a conscious choice to refuse its authority over you. And step 3, continually return your focus, your energy, and your devotion to the one true source. The source wraps it all up with this incredible framing. The Qur'an itself says it's a guidance for those who are seeking protection. In this model, that guidance is the red pill. So the only question left is the one that was asked of Neo. Are you ready to wake up?